Good morning. This is the Blaine's World podcast that can be heard each week on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Spotify, you name it, a whole bunch of places to catch it. And the best bet is probably just go to the blainesworld.net website, and that'll take you to all the links to this show and all our other podcasts. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm here in my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. And each week we focus on positive news and information about people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And to that end, it's my pleasure to introduce our two guests to this show. The first is a guest I've had, I don't know, Bobby, 17 or 18 times maybe on the show, but it's Bobby.
I don't know. I
No,
think we're married in some states, actually.
oh, really? Okay, don't let it out. But anyway, Bobby Angel, and Bobby, you can wave to all your fans and friends who are watching. And also, for the first time, Kai, I'm honored to have Kai Strange, and Kai, you can wave to all your fans and friends. And I should mention, in terms of the show and these two folks, that they're both two amazing individuals. And Bobby is a little bit of everything. Bobby's a poet, an entrepreneur, a social media whiz. I don't know, how do you describe yourself, Bobby?
I don't know. You're describing me so much better than I
No,
would.
I'm trying to think in
Yeah.
250
I
words or
mean,
less.
I'm a poet, a playwright, actor, MC, social media personality, bizarre dresser, all of those things.
Okay,
Very much an activist these days as well. I say these days, I think the last decade or so, I've really been more of an activist.
and if you're out and about in Asheville, you will see Bobby Angel, I guarantee you. And also, for the first time, then, it's my pleasure to introduce Kai Strange. And Kai, I know as an actor, I've had the pleasure of seeing you in several things you've acted in.
Mhm.
Kai, how do you like describing yourself?
I yeah, actor's probably the first one I'd go to. I'm also a special effects makeup artist, so I do like the bloody stuff here and
Ew.
there. Um, I did the makeup for Macbeth, and that we did last year. And then also Living Dead in Denmark. I was helping with the makeup for that. But mainly an actor. Crocheter of many things, um, and just general artist type person, trans person.
Okay, and let's talk about that because I think it would be fair to you.
Yeah.
Can I also call you kind of an activist in terms of the trans community as to what
I
you're
mean,
doing?
sure, yeah.
Okay, and you'll hear Kai's story in a second, but it's just an amazing story. But before I get into the story, Bobby, let's talk about how you got involved in a production that you're going to be working with Kai on, and I'd like to share it with people and hopefully invite people to come to it. Then we'll kind of tell Kai's story. But you had the idea of doing a fundraiser to help Kai on some stuff he's involved in. And how did you get that idea?
I'm broke. And I know Kai through his acting and have seen him in fact, I don't even know how I met Kai originally, but I've seen him in a lot of stuff over the years and have always loved his work. And my son actually points him out every time we see him on stage because he's also a big fan of Kai's. And then Kai started doing this fundraiser to get surgery, gender affirming surgery. And I was sharing it on social media and trying to help, but being broke, couldn't give him the $10,000 he needed. So I thought I've organized quite a few benefits and fundraisers, and I'm a pretty skilled MC because I've been doing it for about 20 years. And I thought that was something I could offer that could maybe help raise some money for Kai.
And which I think you're great at, Bobby. Also, just in terms of
Oh,
raising no,
thanks.
but also raising awareness. I think that if Bobby gets behind something, as you'll see, Kai, or I think you're already seeing, the whole world's going to know about it. So
Yeah.
Don't
that,
adjust your screens. I'm blushing.
okay,
That's
but
that's not a
that
video
that's
issue.
Bobby. I should also mention one other thing I forgot to mention about your background. I don't know, Kai, if you've had the pleasure of seeing this, but Bobby has absolutely the Asheville's, if not North Carolina's, if not United States' best laugh. in terms of being in a theater. Have you ever had the pleasure of sitting next to her at a
I
show?
have not. I'm mostly on stage
Okay,
every time.
and you don't see it at Montford, but someday you'll have to go to like uh, Exalt, or you'll go to wherever else Bobby is,
Magnetic, different
Magnetic especially.
strokes,
And if
ACT.
you see next to her, and she's so cute, Kai. She'll say to people, "I have to warn you in advance." You tell people you're going to hear me, but people. I mean, Bobby, do you get the reaction that people like having you in the audience?
I mean, the actors do. Kai's had the pleasure, they typically, it's not a problem for me at a theater prior to the pandemic that they always put me in the front
Right,
row
right.
just so I wasn't laughing in someone else's ear, because then that person will turn around and glare at me as if, I'm to be admonished for finding humor where they did not, I guess. But Kai's had the pleasure of having me be front and center while he's done as Much Ado. I think I probably could have knocked him over with my laugh because he was so hilarious in Much Ado, and he was right in front of me.
For sure.
But yeah, I do have a gigantic laugh that cannot be faked and cannot be controlled. Sorry.
And we should tell people it will be on display also, before I turn this over to Kai, at the upcoming event we're going to be having to help Kai out. When is the date on that? And just give the specifics, Bobby, if you would.
That is called, is it Top Kai Off? Top
Yeah,
Off
Sarah
Kai.
came up with that.
Yes, Top Kai Off.
Okay.
And it is going to be at the Hazel Robinson Amphitheater on Wednesday, October 5th. Doors are at 7 o'clock. Show is at 7:30. And it is going to have quite a variety of variety acts, including some fire spinning, I think it's called, some sword fighting. I am going to bring back Princess Clotilda, which I did at the Magnetic Theater.
Sure.
She's done many monologues. And we're also going to have some other theater stuff, some music, and we're going to have a live auction. And if you've ever been to like a Magnetic fundraiser for Bernstein and seen Sarah Felmet
Sure.
as a live auctioneer, it's a job she used to have as, what she did for a living. She is absolutely amazing, completely hilarious. And we've had so many folks that have donated different items. There's quite a variety of stuff that's going to be auctioned off.
And so we're asking people to come to this event. It's going to be a fun event, but it's also going to be for a positive.
We're putting the fun in fundraiser.
Okay.
See what I did there?
Brilliant, Bobby. And let's go to then, Kai, talk a little bit about then. So this is a fundraiser, and Bobby mentioned it. It's what do you call it?
Top Kai Off.
And explain what that is exactly, Kai.
Oh, I had to get Sarah to explain it to me, but she was saying that it meant like how you top a drink off.
Right.
That's what it's referring to. And it's top surgery, so the top's coming off situation. But
okay. And so
Sarah, she's a wordsmith.
Okay. And that's, aside from it being a fairly significant operation, it's also a fairly expensive operation.
Yeah.
And so to pay for this, I guess we'll talk about this. There's GoFundMe campaign going on. Is that correct?
Yes.
So how do people get involved in that? Do you have the information?
It's on my Facebook page. It's been shared around quite a bit on Facebook. I don't know how.
There's also a link to it on the Facebook event page for Top Kai Off.
Yes.
Okay. So so look for Kai Change. You look for Bobby Angel. You'll find it if they want to.
And I'm going to switch my Instagram over to have that as being my link in my bio on my Instagram. And my Instagram's just my name, Barbie Angel.
Okay, that'd be super. And then let's
easy.
talk to Kai a little bit before we get into the fundraising aspect of this. Kai, I think I first of all knew you as an actor. I know you as an actor. And when did you start acting?
I did my first play when I was 9. I'm just a little baby.
Little baby.
Do you remember what was the first play? Do you remember?
It was like a school play, and it was called The Theft of Thor's Hammer. It was Norse mythology stuff, and I played Loki.
Because
and I
yeah, go ahead.
Loki, the bad guy. Um, and I was only 9, and there was a recording of it, and I will have you know it was awful. But everyone was like, "Oh, that was so good, Kai, you done." And I am super dyslexic, and so school was always like a really big struggle for me. I thought I was stupid for the longest time, and so I was like, "Whoa, this is something that like I think I'm actually good at. That like it feels good to do." And so then I was looking for more things to do in terms of theater outside of school because I went to a small school. We only did one play a year, and I found the Montford Moppets with Ashley and Skylar, and that
Sure.
was my theater home for a really long time until and I started doing main stage Montford shows around age 14. And I think the first ones I did there were Peter Pan and Pride and Prejudice. Um, and then I've been doing main stage Montford shows ever since.
You know, and
Uh,
I'm looking at you, and I recall some of your earlier stuff, and Bobby can probably agree to this, that now we see Kai is in the process of growing up. You know, I first saw you, he's this little kid, you know, and now you're
yeah.
not, you know, that little kid anymore. So you're growing up. Here's the idea, Kai, I want to share with you, and Bobby can listen to it too. But I have this idea, Bobby, for a fundraiser, not for the one we're talking about, but everybody would recreate their very first role, you know? Because in your case, they
Ooh,
even have a video, but some people, you know, 30, 40 years ago, they didn't have video or something. So wouldn't that be fun to go to a fundraiser where everybody, you know, is their first, might be a tree, or in your case, whatever that was. But I think that'd be a lot of fun, you know, that give you a chance
just
to
stand on
recreate it.
stage as the cow from.
The cow, that would be it. Or I played, I'm not an actor, Kai, but I had one line in Young Frankenstein. And I played the
Uh-huh.
guy who was getting brain surgery. You know, I could do that because I was just on a gurney and I had to shout, ow, you know. So that was about my speed in terms of acting. So
Uh-huh.
you got acting bug as a kid, and now you're continuing it. Is that you plan to continue in acting and doing all theatrical stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I'm super happy doing what I'm doing now and getting bigger roles and finding my limits and stuff. I've done every show this season, so that's like as you
A
like it,
little too much.
little prince, maybe. Um, what do we do? Much Ado, Three Musketeers, and Hamlet. So that's 5 shows just for Montford. And then before that, I did something for the Magnetic. I was in No More Waiting that Dakota Mann directed,
Okay, sure.
and
Love
and
Dakota
then
Man.
after that, I'm doing more things for the Magnetic. I'm doing their one act
Great, great.
festival, and then Caroling by Gaslight, directed by Skylar Goff.
Will you be eventually studying acting, or do you plan to go with
I
it?
might potentially. There's right now there's not a plan for me to go to school for it. But just figuring stuff out, getting more experiences. It's more likely that I might like do some sort of internship than go like to a more specific like school, go to school for acting. And I think if I did go to school, it would more likely be for special effects makeup
I was going
because
to say accounting. I saw you. I thought accounting, but yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, well, that's the backup plan if the makeup thing doesn't work.
Well, it's cool, you know, about the makeup thing because when you think, Bobby, the fact that you know a lot of actors out there, a lot of very good actors in Nashville, but there are less people, that, you know, who specialize in you know special effects or sort of what you're doing. So that's kind of really cool. And now, Kai, let's kind of transition from there to the fact that as you were entering your acting career, I think you were telling me off the air, at some point in time in life, you decide you want to go through the trans, I guess, process you would call it, or how do you describe it?
I would say started trans, like questioning my gender, and then I would say I came out. That's when you know, come out publicly, tell everybody, hey, this is the new stuff I'm going by. And like, even though I knew that for a long time, I didn't come out. And it took a while for me to like figure out all the little details and all the ways that I wanted to do it. But yeah, I'd say decide that I wanted to start transitioning would be.
How old were you when that took place?
Um, I was 17 when I came out.
And what was the reaction of folks, both family, friends, other people? How did it go over?
Well, I came out in the beginning of 2020, so I
You
first just came
caused the
out to my family.
pandemic.
Yeah,
Look at
I'm
that.
just a little pandemic baby. Uh,
Asheville closed down. Asheville closed down for 2 years because of Kai Strange.
oh yeah, it
Okay,
was all my fault.
right.
Don't tell
It was
anyone.
my fault actually, but it's okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I didn't want to take credit. But it was just me coming out to my immediate family, and originally I came out as non-binary, and I did that as kind of like a stepping stone. Like I knew that wasn't all the way. Like I knew since I was 15 that I was transmasculine, and I just didn't have the words to say it, or the confidence or the representation to feel comfortable doing it. Um, because really, I think the reason I didn't figure it out sooner was because I literally didn't know what it was to be trans. I had no one that I knew who was trans. I was very much like sheltered little homeschool baby for a long time. And then I really, once I started figuring it out, like, oh wow, all these pieces are coming together, and that this would have made a lot more sense had I had known this earlier on. Um, but yeah, I came out at the beginning of the pandemic. It was my immediate family that first knew, and overall they were really accepting about it,
Good.
especially my sister, Sacred Stone. She's probably like my biggest supporter. It was a little bit hard for my mom in the beginning. The they them pronouns being used as singular, get that one a lot. And I was in high school at the time, and it was a very small Waldorf high school, and um, I had like I don't know, their like board meeting, and I actually spoke there, and because a lot of them were having trouble adjusting to the pronouns and all that, and I they would said the same thing, like, oh, they them using like as a singular thing is not a real thing, and I don't know how to do it. And I remember specifically saying this because I am very bad at confrontation and just like letting people have it. But I said, yes, but at what point am I, the student, going to have to stop trying to teach my teachers basic grammar? And then just mic drop, left the room. No, I didn't
Woohoo!
actually do that, but that's what it felt like. It was a super cool moment for me. Um, and then I think a little, I don't know exactly when, later on, I then used he they pronouns, and then later on, I used he him pronouns, and that's what I use now. Um, and I guess it was hard because, or I had to go through the little stepping stones to get there, even though I knew that's what it was ultimately leading to was um, using he him pronouns. But it was like trying to let go of, okay, I'm not this person, and I'm like shedding one layer at a time a little bit and moving fully into who I am. But
You mentioned, for example, your sister was receptive to this. How about
mhm.
friends you had, or teachers you had, or other people you knew? What was their reaction?
Yeah, I overall very supportive, very receptive. um I was a little nervous about my extended family, um but I don't know, I think they're okay. um but my friends, also kind of coming from the same background of not being introduced to like any sort of gender diversity other than, oh, this is a man and this is a woman and that's what you are and this is what I am, kind of situation. And so it was like a little awkward for them at first, and I pretty immediately got my first taste of like what it's like for people not to acknowledge you. And it had been like during the pandemic, so we didn't see our friends for a long time. And once we had like a friend's birthday party, and we all met up after not seeing each other for a while. And I had transitioned, and my family was comfortable with it at that point. I was comfortable with it. Um, and um, I went and I had told one of my older friends who had a phone, and some of my friends were, because it was like families. Like I have a lot of siblings. I'm one of 5. So we'd have other families that we were friends with. So I told my older friend who was around my age, and I was assuming he told his brothers and his siblings and things. And I guess he didn't. So then this like little 13-year-old kid comes up to me and like calls me my dead name, and I was like, actually, my name is Kai now. And he was like, okay, and then proceeded to call me my dead name. And I was like, whoa. I just the blatant like refusing to do it because it's kind of complicated and I don't want to try and understand it because it's new, was like
Did you encounter that
um
from other folks or other places you hung around? That
um
reaction.
I for the majority of my experience has been super supported,
Right.
and I'm super grateful for that. I had a therapist for a brief time who was just this like super Christian white Southern lady who didn't know anything about gender. And this is like when I was in the middle of like transitioning and being like, okay, I think I want to go on hormones and all this stuff. And then like one of the things that I really remember that she said to me was like, right, that there's gonna be people that like tear you down, and like that's inevitable for you. There's gonna be people that come after you and say all these horrible things. Like, okay, great, thanks for preparing me for this wonderful journey I'm about to embark on.
So, and this person, I assume, is no longer your therapist.
No, she's not
Which is
anymore.
good.
Yeah.
What's really cool is that I guess around this time you were getting into the acting community. Talk about the reaction to folks in the acting community to you going through this.
Yeah, they were all super receptive. I think this was around like the same time where people were like, "Oh yeah, we got to be more trans inclusive," and so they started like in like contact sheets and stuff, being like, "Okay, here's my name, here's my pronouns," and they had just already started doing that. And there's a couple more people um that have been in the Montford community that are trans, and that came out before me. So I don't think it that kind of prevented it from being like, oh my God, what just happened situation, because they already knew, okay, this is a drill. Here we go. And yeah, it was like nothing had changed. They were just like, all right, we got it and we're rolling with it, which it was just this incredible feeling of like not having to justify myself to anybody. Like I have been dealing with this inner turmoil and blah blah blah, trying to figure it out for so long, and then once I finally figure it out and feel confident enough in myself that I can say to other people, hey, this is what I figured out, can you please like do that for me? And they did, no problem. And they've definitely been a huge support the entire time of my transition. um, and especially this year, the beginning of this year in January, I started taking testosterone, and um, a lot has changed since then. And for my shows that I did last year, they were like commenting like, "Oh, your voice has changed so much. Like you have a really more masculine shape to your face, and like we can really see that um like you seem really happy." And just giving me a lot of positive feedback, which was it's nice. I don't know if like all trans people, obviously I can't speak for all trans people, if everybody would like having that stuff commented on, but it meant a lot to me, because sometimes like I don't know, it's awkward to say something like that, but there was little things like that for me, that I was seeing myself in the mirror and seeing myself slowly like feel more comfortable in my body. And it was like little victories all the time,
Well, I was
like
going to ask you
having
that
little uh-huh
because no, because I was wondering about that because again, I see a tremendous difference physically, in seeing you over the last year or something. And I said,
yeah,
again, I don't know if it's okay to compliment you, but I think you look absolutely great. Just
thank
even in
you.
terms of not being a trans, just a human being, you look absolutely great. Bobby does too, but
Ah,
but I think it's so cool. So I didn't know if it was appropriate to say to somebody, hey, you looking good, or that to notice the change. But you don't mind if people observe it?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay. Talk
I
about
think Kai looks more confident
yeah.
and happier. That's
Well,
what I've noticed is the biggest mm, outward change is that I see him, from show to show
yeah.
over the last couple of years at Mumford, and he always seems to look happier and
Well,
more
no, Bobby.
confident.
Like I said, I saw him in one show. I guess a year and a half, 2 years ago, and completely. I almost can't even put you in the same category. It's just so different,
Yeah.
and that's so cool. Talk about Kai for the benefit of the folks who may be watching or listening, who don't know too much about this. You decided, whatever age, 14, 15, 17, you wanted to have a different persona, I guess. How did you find out about it? Did you read? Did you go to YouTube? How did you become smarter about this whole process?
I definitely I've watched a lot of of trans YouTube videos for sure. And when I was 15, the first time that I ever admitted that I think I might be trans to somebody was like through a video game, which is whatever, stupid. But like it was like very low stakes, and I was like, "Hey, I think I actually might be a boy." And I definitely did not have it all figured out in the first steps, and I think nobody really does, no matter how far along they are. Like we're all human, right? We're always learning. Um and so I watched a lot of um there's there's a ton of trans YouTubers, and I followed a lot of them on social media. Um a ton of incredible like content creators with so much knowledge. Um and so definitely through things like that, and um well learning, also feeling like, oh, like I feel validated in seeing like other trans people um be themselves authentically, and that be okay, and having people support them like that. And also cool to see um like trans actors like Elliot Page and
Oh yeah.
Laverne Cox and stuff. That's really special to me personally, right? Because I'm a trans actor, and there's not a lot of those guys out there, um, especially in big deal movies and stuff. Like it's a small percentage.
Let me ask you something,
Um,
Kai, on that
yeah.
point. It's an excellent point you just made. When does somebody, such as yourself, and I've read stuff on this as well, stop becoming a trans actor and then just becoming an actor? Like we in the beginning we said you're a trans actor, but I see you as an actor. I see a
Yeah.
fine actor, a growing actor. So
Mhm.
even when you try to develop the identity of your professionalism, your acting career, will you be saying you're a trans actor, or are you saying an actor? How do you see that?
It definitely depends on the person, because a lot of trans people, for obvious reasons, would rather not say openly all the time, "Hey, I'm trans."
Right.
Just you, avoiding hate and violence, and it's just like a way to protect yourself that a lot of people use. And I don't know if this is necessarily true about myself, but I have always thought of myself as, hey, I'm somebody that can take it.
Right.
I can take somebody saying something shitty to me, and I'm still going to be okay. And I think because I grew up with having no representation or very little representation when I did have it, and having to seek that out, is being representation and having that be like, obviously I'm trans and I'm also an actor, and those things don't have to be together,
Right.
but they're both things that I am. I'm also an actor with brown hair currently, right? Not usually,
Right.
but
Exactly. Yeah. I
we've
had to
gone
take a
through
double take.
pretty
No, but
much.
I'm saying one of the cool things about you, Kai, I think, and this is how I see you, as an actor. So I don't see you as even a male or female actor. I do a whole thing. Probably I don't know how you feel about this, but even when I write stuff in my blog and other things, I call people actors as opposed to actors and actresses. There's a whole
Yeah, I do
thing
the
that,
same thing.
yeah. So
I
it's like director. Nobody says director or directress. So I see you as a performer and actor. I don't see you as a male actor. I don't see you as a female actor. I don't see you as a trans actor. I see you as a
Mhm.
talented actor. And so I wonder, probably, when does the identification stop, and then just we concentrate? You're just a cool guy who's an actor. So that's just my thinking. But going back to Caillou, so talk a
Mhm.
little bit about, so 14, 15, 16, you're going through this. Describe a little bit, you don't have to go into great detail unless you want to, but what's the
Mhm.
procedure? How many steps, were there? And then we'll lead up to what Bobby's helping put on this fundraiser. But how long did this take, and when do you eventually finish the process?
So there's not really a finish, I guess, necessarily, because plenty of trans people don't transition medically, um, and plenty of them do. So it's and some have. I think there's a ridiculous number of gender affirming surgeries that you can have. I think it's like in the 30s or something.
Wow.
Um, and really, the only things that I am looking at currently, well, I'm taking testosterone. Like I said, I've been taking that since January, which is like some months, 9 months. Yeah, I
math.
know. Yes.
It's math.
Um, and for the fundraiser, what we're looking at is top surgery, and that's basically having having a more feminine chest, having it be um, in a more masculine way, having a chest that is more round, having it flat, right? So that's involving in like some removal of like fat cells and stuff like that, and some snippies.
Have you
Snippy,
had,
I
snippy.
won't go into too much detail because
Thank you. I get queasy.
me too.
I
How
get
many,
queasy
people.
with surgery stuff. Any surgery stuff. Ugh,
how
blood.
many
Ew.
surgeries have you had, or have you had any?
I have never had a surgery
Okay, so
before.
this will be your first one then, right?
Hmm.
Okay, and it's a pretty, I guess, major surgery. This is a kind of an important one for somebody
Yes.
transitioning to become
Yeah.
a male. So you'll do
Mhm.
this surgery, um,
Mhm.
and so this involves you in the hospital. Is it a couple days, and where's this? Will it be in Asheville? You'll have the surgery.
Yeah, right now we're looking, I'm not sure if I think it might be in Raleigh, but it's
Okay,
somewhere in North Carolina where we're looking. And I think it's a couple days in the hospital and then a very long at home healing process. Um, which I think is like 3 weeks. Um, just recovering and um having your scars heal a little bit, before you can really do anything.
And so hopefully you're going to be doing this so when you're in between shows, I guess you have to work
Yeah,
out your schedule. You can't be performing during that
yeah.
time. So, but you
Unless
don't,
he's laying on a gurney in Young Frankenstein,
yeah,
you
exactly,
know.
it's something that you could
Have
play.
some brain surgery.
So what do you want people to know in the Asheville area, for example, about somebody going through this process? What should they know?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think Asheville is probably one of the more accepting places
Sure.
for this. So, um, definitely like where my grandparents live, like in Mississippi and Florida, that's a very different situation. Um, but yeah, just I don't know, trying to find a way to normalize it as best you can, like, and that doesn't mean don't talk about it or whatever. And also like learning, and there's always going to be people that like don't mean to ask an awkward question or say something, and but if you're worried about if you're going to say something that might be offensive but you're not sure or whatever, um definitely like look up what it is to be transmasculine. Go find some transmasc YouTube videos. There's a lot of them out there. There's a ton of different resources of really incredible, super smart trans guys that I follow, which maybe I'll like make a list and like share that with you or something. You can put
Well,
it out.
well, it's
Um,
interesting. Back to you,
mhm.
is that in terms of the trans process, that if somebody knows, so you said something about the videos, so now you're going to be featured on this video, so people will be able to see Kai Strange,
Yeah.
an actor, talking about his process. But the in terms of you finding out more, do you in the Asheville area, I guess more so than other places, do you know a bunch of trans folks? Are you friends with a bunch of trans folks?
I I'm actually not that I don't have that many trans friends. I have like, yeah, but that's not like I'm trans and therefore know all the other trans people.
Right.
I'm
Um
cis, and cisgender means I am the gender I was assigned at birth. I have a lot of trans friends and non-binary friends, and I don't know why. Like there's not a reason. I didn't like reach out and try to meet a lot of trans people or non-binary folks, but I happen to know a lot of.
Well, it's interesting, Bobby, because in talking about this whole thing, Kai raised a really good point, and I'd like you to just address it also, Kai. The fact that to be trans, you don't have to go through surgery, is that correct? But you choose to.
yeah.
And explain what the distinction, if you would.
So some trans people don't feel the need to um go through a medical transition. And that I don't think it's necessarily a choice. It's like taking a look inside yourself and saying, okay, this is what I need to be comfortable in my body. This is what feels good to me. This is what my particular path is, um, if for my gender identity. Um, and I think it doesn't invalidate. I think that's a lot of times a misconception is that um, some people will be like, yeah, I support trans people, but it's just like I don't want like people who are like early on in their transition to like, be confusing my kids or what this or that, or like it's just too confusing. But once you look like the gender you are trying to identify as, that you identify as, like, then it's okay for some reason. And I think it's really just people's like level of comfortability and stuff that they know, and so then they see, like, I'd say I am at the point where I am uh cis passing, which means that I look like the gender that I identify as from like an outward appearance. Um, People call me Sir
Right.
at Ingalls.
Right.
It's
Well, that's
it's
kind
much
of
better.
right. That's kind of a key. But no, it certainly. How do you describe it? What was the term you used about it? If you're to the point where you said people accept you as the gender, what would was the term you just used?
Cis
Uh,
passing.
cis passing.
Okay,
Yeah.
because certainly I think you do that. What about Kai if people want more information? For example, we'll talk about 2 ways to get more information. If they want more information about the process, they want to get smarter. What's your recommendation to them in terms of finding out more about this?
I mean, just go on a little deep dive, Google some stuff. Um, and if you have a trans friend or something that is comfortable talking about it, talk about it with them and go do some research and then come back to them and say, hey, this is what I found. Like, how do you feel about that? Is that accurate to you? And um, I don't know, just there's definitely a lot of online resources out there. And I know that it's hard for a lot of people to, like, I guess, admit that they don't know and then be willing to learn, because I don't know, I guess it's weird for adults to have, like, kids or younger adults be talking about something that it's just going over their head, that they don't understand, or they don't understand a lot of, um, and realizing that right now in this world, like, there's always things learning, and we're all learning and changing and stuff, and there's not really an end point to when, oh, like, I'm an adult now and I know all that I need to know, right? We're always adapting. Um, and so there's really no shame in being wherever you are and taking the first step to learn something that you didn't know, right? Um, and I think that's why it's hard for a lot of people to just say, okay, all right, I'm gonna Google it. We're gonna figure it out, and find some trans creators and support them and learn from them. I think is probably the way I would go, the way that I did go.
If folks want to follow Kai Strange, either to
Hmm.
find out about some of the acting you're doing or the makeup work you're doing, or just say hello to you, or even ask any questions, is there a way that you feel comfortable about telling people how to look you up or find you? Are you available social media?
Yeah, sure. I'm Kai Strange on Facebook, and the oldest guy on Instagram. But also you could look up Kai Strange and probably find me on Instagram.
Okay, so
Um,
so people want to find out about you. That's the best bet to find out.
yeah.
And would you
Yep.
mind if I don't know people would, but if any questions, because again, I'm like Bobby was saying, I know a bunch of folks who are either transitioning or in the process. Do you feel not everybody in the world, but if I wanted to refer somebody to you,
Yeah.
would that be okay with you?
Absolutely.
You know, and by
Absolutely.
the same token, if it's okay with you, I'm probably going to introduce you to 2 friends of mine. I'll have them watch this tape, and I think you'd really like to meet them because what's really cool, Bobby, is they're very successful in the community, you know, and it's really exciting. And Asheville has been accepting of them, you know. So I'd like to, you know, at least offer to them the opportunity to say hello to you or something because I think you have a great story. And now, unfortunately, you're going to be one of the people are going to look up now on YouTube that you can hear Kai's story and his acting. I'll give you one last chance to talk about your next or the current acting gig, depending on when I put this on, and what's up for the rest of the season. So, what can people look forward to seeing you in?
Yeah. So right now I'm in Three Musketeers. That's with the Montfort Park Players. And I'm playing King Louis, which is I'm getting all the clown roles this year. It's been a lot of fun. He wears this, like, not to spoil too much, but this massive, ridiculous wig. That's a lot of fun. Um, and then after that, I'll be in Hamlet as one of the grave diggers with Eli Hamilton.
Woohoo!
My my one of my other trans friends, and he's
Sorry,
also going to be, yeah, he's going to be performing at the event, and he'll
Oh,
be
okay,
there
great.
too.
And
I love Eli.
Okay,
He
and so
likes good
anyway,
ones.
Kai, that was fantastic. If I can just go back to Bobby. So
Hmm.
Yes.
we were talking that you've heard Kai's story now and this upcoming surgery. And so you were telling me off the air too that you had this idea, but you worked with a couple other people. You mentioned Daniel, if you want to give him a shout out and how you got this idea off the ground.
Yeah, I had shared Kai's GoFundMe in a couple of creative ways to try and get some money towards his GoFundMe, fundraiser. And I had, pardon me, I had recently done that for another trans friend of mine who was having a problem making his um, budget fit for various gender affirming care that he had. And his went great, and then Kai's wasn't going very far. And so I thought we really need a way to push this out more than Facebook. So I decided to contact him and see if I could help him throw a fundraiser that was like a variety show, and we could give some people some entertainment and use all our mad skills, and raise money and all of that. So it's kind of to supplement his GoFundMe.
What's kind of cool about
Um,
this is I'm really impressed, Bobby, what you've done. You put together quite a group of people. It's a very eclectic group of people getting behind this.
yes.
So it's not just Bobby Angel going to be MC for 2 hours or Sarah's going to do an auction, but it just sounds like a lot of fun. There are going to be 27 different things going on. Have you had a lot of people come forward and say that they're willing to be part of this?
Um, yes. Oh, and I forgot to say, Daniel Sandoval also had come to Kai and said, "Hey, you should throw a fundraiser, and I can help you with that." So it's been the three of us working on this. Yeah, actually, the way that we started, because if we just opened it up, I mean, who doesn't love Kai?
Right.
uh, you know, we would have had a probably 4.5 week long show, and I would have, lost my voice on
Right.
hour 22. And so what we decided to do is reach out to folks that Kai was close to, and start there. And Kai and I are actually getting together, hopefully with Daniel this weekend, to go through all of that and see if we need any to fill any more time. And then we thought we'd also do this auction if we could get any stuff. And Sarah Felmet happened to be right there when we thought of it. And she's a good friend of both of ours. And she said she would absolutely be a live auctioneer, which is way more fun than a silent
Oh,
auction.
sure. Yeah.
So yeah. And so far, like, I mean, obviously everybody that actually Kai's done all the asking. Everyone that Kai's asked has been enthusiastic about supporting him, and donating their time and their mad skills as well. So
Well, I think you mentioned something else, which I think is it's a great idea if I heard you correctly. But if you can't make the event that night, you'll still be able to participate in the auction. There's a way to bid for stuff.
yeah, actually, in the we haven't figured out the auction part of that.
Right.
So I don't know if you'll be able to participate in the auction. You can still donate to the GoFundMe, and support Kai in that way. I could also drive by and you could throw cash
Well,
in my car window,
in all
which is
seriousness, speak to me
always,
off the air. I'll show you. I've done some fundraisers. You can involve people to do an auction, which would be fun, because if they want to support it and want to get some of the items, there are some ways. I'll show you off the air.
okay.
But
Yeah.
anyway, just if you could once again repeat both the date, location, and timing of this, Bobby.
Yes, it is on Wednesday, October 5th. Doors are at 7 and the show is at 7:30. We're assuming about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And it's going to be at the Hazel Robinson Amphitheater. So we chose a Wednesday night specifically because
Great.
Kai is very active in the theater. We were trying to find a night when
You
folks
hit it.
wouldn't have a performance, and also could maybe not have a rehearsal that has to be, attended. So
And the point is, it's going to be rain or shine. So if it's raining, bring your umbrella. But we're going to have this event. And Kai, I think
Yes.
your job, you're taking care of the weather, Kai. You know,
Oh yeah, I got it covered. I had a little
Okay.
conversation with this guy earlier.
and the big guy. Will you also get to see you perform that night as well?
Potentially, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And with the
I am
wig.
hoping so.
Okay, that's great. Well, it's worth it just to see Kai Strange perform. He's quite a performer. Bobby, if you've never seen Bobby Angel work a room and work a mic, you're in for a treat as well. And I want to thank you
I don't
guys
know
both.
if Kai ever has actually.
Okay,
I
Being
don't
the
think that
MC.
this is a surprise
Yeah.
for me. I'm
well,
excited.
What we should do, Kai, back to the beginning of the show, we should just maybe have a stint where Bobby just lasts for 5 minutes, and that'll be, Bobby performing, do your thing. Anyway, folks,
Yay.
thanks an awful lot. A lot of fun. As always, pleasure, Bobby. Nice speaking with you, Kai, and we'll look forward to seeing you in person at October date, if not before. I'll see you at Montfort, hopefully before then. Okay,
All
thanks,
right.
folks.
Thank you so much,
Speak to you
Blaine.
soon. Be well.